All right. Well, happy Wednesday morning to everybody. We are live on Facebook, and I have Melissa Deely with me today. So excited. Hi, Melissa. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Colleen. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm super excited to talk with you here too.
Oh, you're so welcome. All right, ladies, we're going to go ahead and get started as soon as I hit record. Here we go. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and I am so excited to be in December. My house is decorated for Christmas. As you all know, I was fighting it to take down any of my Thanksgiving stuff. And now that we've moved into the new year, I got it all down, put up my Christmas stuff, and then we started construction in our house. So isn't that how our lives roll? You know, we tend to make it more difficult on ourselves than easy on ourselves for things that we need to get done, or just in general our lives as it is. And today we're going to be talking to Melissa a lot about our health. And are you unknowingly killing yourself? I mean, that's a really heavy topic today. And I want all of you to tune in, focus on what we're talking about. Melissa's going to be giving us so many tips on how we can live a healthier life and really uncover and peel back the layers of, are we mistreating our bodies? Are we unknowingly killing ourselves? So I love that word, unknowingly. So thank you, Melissa, because no one on purpose tries to kill themselves. But again, I guess unless you're smoking, then you must realize you're killing yourself because there's a lot of warnings on the side of those boxes. I'm just saying. All right. So before we get to that, I just wanted to cover very quickly to remind all of you, we have some really powerful Teaching Tuesdays coming up. We've always got them on the second and the fourth Tuesday of every month. These are free to anyone in our community, outside of our community, and it's our members bringing their genius forward to teach you how to live a healthier lifestyle, how to put tools in your toolbox for your business, how to get your estate together. I mean, we are across the board with the ladies that bring their genius forward. This last Tuesday, we were speaking about tips and tricks as an introvert. Tips and tricks as an introvert of how you get yourself out there. And it was all about Instagram and Instagram Reels and focusing on one way to get yourself out there to engage with your audience. It was just a phenomenal webinar. So I invite all of you just to click right there, and it'll be in your description on Facebook or in the podcast. It'll be right there at your fingertips for you guys to click on that. So I invite you, as our next two that we're going to have on the second and the fourth Tuesdays of January, as well as in the end of December, we're going to be talking about searching inside ourselves on how to create more wealth and success and joy in 2021. We're also going to be uncovering, why do women procrastinate? So why do we procrastinate and then repeat the same patterns over and over and over again? So that's a good one. If you're a procrastinator, make sure you join us. All right, Melissa, I'm super happy to begin this conversation with you today. You're an integrative health practitioner. You really, it's just a lifelong mission I see in you to help people discover what their toxic load is, the root cause of their health issues. I'm going to repeat that. The root cause of health issues, because when you go to a medical practitioner, like at the doctor's office, they're kind of band-aiding symptoms of something you have, right? But getting to the root cause of what's going on in your body, a lot of this, I see it as, Eastern medicine, right? More so than Western medicine, but I'll let Melissa get into that. But she provides personal wellness protocols for each one of you to remove the toxicities, support deficiencies with natural supplements and herbs, again, more Eastern than Western here, and really guide the body back to balance. Who here really knows that our bodies were created and built to understand how to balance itself? And then it's all of these toxins that we put in our bodies and all of the things that we do that create it to be unbalanced, but it naturally knows how to heal itself. and balance itself. So I'm going to let Melissa be the expert and talk more about that, because that is certainly not my area of genius. So Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you again for having me. And you're right, this is a really important topic of conversation. And never more than right now do we need to be focusing on our health. And it is not only my purpose in life to help guide people's healing journey, but also to create a mind shift around what we think about our health. Unfortunately, for many, many generations, we've been taught, and this again is Western medicine and in the Western world, that you get sick and you go to the doctor and they give you a pill and you get better. But what we're seeing in today's world is near epidemic levels of chronic illness. Chronic illness being heart disease, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's and dementia, leaky gut, autoimmune diseases, and some forms of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And these are all diseases that we can actually help people heal from through lifestyle and nutritional changes.
Yeah.
And that's where seeing inside the body to understand exactly what is going on is so important. And we so often forget that because we don't see it. So it's out of sight, out of mind, right? And
Yes.
as you said, this toxic load is really important to understand. And it's the starting point where I work with all of my clients, is simply with a quiz. And we can drop that into the chat later. But what is your toxic load, and helping people discover that? And why is it so important right now? Well, we have over 100,000 man-made chemicals in our environment today that we didn't have 50 and 60 years ago.
That's
Over
right.
70,000 of those have been developed since World War II. And how many of those have actually been tested? Hardly any. And even the ones that have been tested as if you use this once and just this one. They've never been tested of if you use this with this and this and this and this, and 7 days a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have toxins in our food, as the food industry has moved from feeding our community locally to profit, and focusing on profit and shareholder return, and wanting longer shelf life of the products on the shelf at the store. So there's chemicals in there to help lengthen the shelf life, wanting us to buy more of it. So there's man-made sugars and salts added to help us get addicted. So we want more. And these are negatively impacting our body. What's in the drinks that are out there? We're told health drinks and energy drinks, but if you actually look at the ingredients in them, they're not healthy for you at all. And you can make energy drinks at home much more easily. Instead of buying your next Gatorade, you could simply take 8 ounces of water and add a pinch of Himalayan rock salt and add the juice of half a lemon or half a lime. And you've got all your electrolytes to give you that energy, but you don't have any of the sugars and any of the other crap.
A lot of sugar in Gatorade.
And many other things, and
And many
50
other
different,
things that you can't pronounce.
right, and 50 different names in order to make it hard for any consumer to know, so that you think it doesn't have sugar because the word sugar isn't actually there and you buy it.
Yeah.
But these are all the fake sugars, is these 50 different names of sugars that very often end in the word OS, in the letters OSE, but there's even more that don't end in OSE. So how do you know, right? It's
Right.
so hard. So my biggest tip there is just buy the perimeter of the grocery store, because
Yeah.
all the processed food is in the middle. So just stay out of those middle aisles and go to the produce section and go to the fresh meat section, etc., to do your shopping, and you're going to be way ahead of the people that are shopping in the middle aisles.
Yeah. And by the way, if anyone didn't realize this in the last year of the pandemic, when there was a shortage of food, when I went to the grocery store, I literally did not understand why everyone was saying there was a shortage, because I walked into the produce section and it was full. I went up to the butcher block where they have, meats up there. They have a lot of organic, grass fed meats and seafood. And of course, all around the perimeter is pretty much where I shop. Of course, I stay away from dairy, and mostly I don't eat any meats at all. So I was shocked that when I walked into the middle to see what was going on, all of the shelves were empty. And I just couldn't understand why people were complaining about there not being any food when the perimeter of the grocery store was full. Because I think they're just programmed and their bodies crave, like you said, Melissa, what is on the interior of the grocery store. So, what I would love to ask you, which I know is on several of the minds of the listeners right now that are paying attention, which is how do I know, other than something severely happening in my body, meaning fever, or, I get progressively really sick or have to go to the hospital or have a heart attack or something like that. How would I know if I was sitting and discover, like, how do I know if I'm in a toxic overload? Are there symptoms that start happening? What in our body is happening to where we get a signal like, aha, something is not right. I probably need to start researching this.
Right. And that's where my toxic quiz comes in really handy for people, because it goes through all the different parts of the body and
Mhm.
asks, what are you feeling? What are you noticing? Different symptoms that come up. And symptoms are our body's way of talking to us.
Mm.
But we get so busy in life, we don't always stop to listen. And also, we're very quick to write them off as signs of aging and accept them as normal, or seasonal allergies, and accept them as normal, or even saying, I've heard this a lot, oh, my mom had this or my dad had this, it's just in our family. And that's none of that is true. All of these things can be attributed to your toxic load. And when we detox and get those toxins out, those symptoms are alleviated. And the beautiful thing then too is we're lowering inflammation in the body at the same time, and we're stopping signals from turning on and triggering disease, signals to the cells from doing that. So this is really, really important. And hardly anyone else is talking about toxic load and the fact that we can lower our toxic load and reduce our risk of disease because we're not switching on those cellular signals. And what's also interesting is that it's really only in the Western culture where we don't detox today. In Ayurvedic, 6,000-year-old Indian medicine and culture, they still detox. Latin American culture still detoxes. Asian culture still detoxes. But only in Western medicine do we think that having a shower and washing our outer body is enough and keeps us clean. And we forget all about our inner body. And it's our inner body that we must look after, because we know that 90 to 95% of all disease is triggered by the environment we create inside our body.
Mm.
It's not genetic. So that's really empowering to me, because it gives you the choice of the environment you create inside your body. And it means that only 5 to 10% of all disease is truly genetic, over which you don't have as much control.
Mm-hmm.
So you have control over 90 to 95% of disease. And then it's a matter of having that choice and learning what you need to know. And that's the other thing, is this is nobody's fault. It's not the doctor's fault. The doctors are part of a system that is broken, but they got into healthcare wanting to help people heal. The problem is they've only been taught one way. And it's that Western medicine way, which is tied to big pharma, which is all about profit and optimizing shareholder return, and not at all about optimizing human health.
Mm-hmm.
15, 60 years ago, it might have been a lot more about optimizing human health. But in the last 30 years, they have shifted into a blockbuster drug approach, focusing on chronic illness and creating drugs and recreating the same drugs with a new marketing campaign that is targeting people with chronic illness in the hopes that they have to take this drug every day for the rest of their life, which could trigger a side effect, which requires another drug every day for the rest of your life, because that pays them every day for the rest of your life. And it's really sad, but this is the reality. And I'm reading a book now. There's a couple books about this, if anybody is interested in looking into this further, but one of them is called Our Daily Meds. and the other one is called Big Bottles of Lies. And even though I know this and I come from a holistic side and I'm aware this is going on, it's really hard to read because it makes me realize just how brainwashed we have been in being indoctrinated into, you get sick, you go to the doctor, they give you a pill and you get better. But today we see people aren't getting better. People want to get better and they're looking for answers and they're not getting answers through mainstream medicine.
Right.
And so I want to invite people into the idea of there is another way, and let people know there is another way. They need to know before they can even choose to go down that path. So getting my message out to let people know is really important.
Yeah.
And I love to share a quote that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result.
It's so true.
Right. And instead, I want to invite people into a mindset shift. And if you want a different health outcome, you have to change what you're doing over here. You can't just wait to get sick, go to the doctor, get a pill and get better.
Right.
Instead, let's actually stop taking our health for granted and let's prioritize it. Because if we don't have our health, we can't build a business, we can't raise our family, and we certainly can't live our purpose and passion and whatever it is that we were uniquely put on this earth to do.
Yeah.
But when we do have our health, we have the energy, we have the cognitive function to be able to do all of that.
It's so true. So if you're taking any medications out there and you're listening to this and you think to yourself, oh, well, I have high blood pressure, I have to take this medication, or I have to take this medication because it's a blood thinner, or whatever it is that you've been taught that you have to take this medication and there's no other way around it. There is another way. So I know it seems like a lot of learning and information that you do not know. That's why I brought Melissa on today, because it really isn't any more difficult than you going to the doctor, them doing some labs, them finding out you have a thyroid issue, or them finding out that you have high blood pressure because they're reading your labs, and then them putting you on a medication that, Melissa's right, causes side effects. I can't tell you how many people I know are on medications and they say, well, this medication caused me to gain 20 pounds. This medication caused me to gain 30 pounds. And they're not happy with their lives. They're not happy with what is happening in their lives. And if this is you, there is another way. You know, we don't change the brainwashed way that we're used to thinking because it seems too difficult and too much time. It's the unknown to do something different. That's why Melissa's here to talk to us about how easy it can be for you to be educated on this, just as if you were going to the doctor. There's labs that can be sent to you that you can take, that she can walk you through and help you understand how you can change the way you're eating or change the way that you're living your current life, or just adding specific supplements maybe, or some other pieces where your life can look different than it does today. And here's what happens, and I'm going to be honest with all of you. We have to get cancer, have a heart attack, we have to be knocked down so heavy to change our lifestyle. We really do. We have to be sent to the hospital because we have emphysema and can't breathe before we might stop smoking, right? We have to have liver damage before we decide that we are going to stop drinking. It is insane to me that we have to be on our deathbed before we make the changes in our lives. I have a friend, her husband had cancer, completely changed the way he ate, went all raw foods, and he is doing a phenomenal, all by changing his diet. If his diet would have been that way to begin with, he probably most certainly would never have gotten the cancer. We can prevent these in our bodies if we just pay attention to what we're loading into our bodies. So, Melissa, how easy is it for someone to really understand, if I'm on all these pills and I'm not happy with my life or the way I feel, or maybe I'm not on pills, I'm just not happy with the way I feel, or I've taken your quiz now and I realize, wow, she's asked me, do I hurt? Does this hurt? How many times do I have headaches? All of a sudden I'm going, oh crap, I answered yes to a lot of this stuff on the quiz. It sounds like I've probably got some things going on that probably I don't need to live with for the rest of my life. What do they do? How do they take that first step?
So, as you say, a guided journey is what I offer, and that's what makes it easier. I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not a magic pill. People are looking for the magic pill, which is easy but doesn't
But
work,
living with
right?
pain isn't easy either. Living with
Exactly.
pain is
And
not.
so, what I want to invite people to think about is on a guided journey, you have the support of me working with you on the detox program so you don't start and it feels too hard and you fall off. It's completely guided with recipes, with meal plans, shopping lists, and an app that allows you to track how you're feeling, how you're doing, and communicate with me to ask questions because people always have questions, especially when they start programs. And if you get your questions answered, you can keep going. When those questions go unanswered and you're not sure if it's right, then you tend to fall off because when it does feel too hard, you're like, I don't even know if this is working. So now I'm going to give up, right? And our brain is programmed to keep us safe. And anytime we create change in our life, our brain goes, what are you doing? I'm not sure I can keep you safe over there, but I know I can keep you safe here because you're here. And that's when you have those little conversations with yourself in your head about this being hard. So having the accountability of access to me throughout a program is really what makes a difference. And I have 100% success rate taking people through the initial detox program of 21 days for anyone that has engaged with me through the app. There are people that have chosen not to do that, and I've seen them fall off. And I reach out and I try to pick them back up. But for the people that stay on track, they are successful. And the wonderful thing is that everybody within 7 days is noticing that something is better. And even at 3 days, I get messages from people, wow, I haven't had heartburn for 3 days and I've lived with that for 10 days. 10 years. Or another one at 3 days was, wow, I haven't had any gut pain for 3 days. And that's unheard of for me. Another one at 7 days was, wow, 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 my aches and pains in my joints have gone away. I knew I was inflamed, but I had no idea that this could happen so quickly. And my bloated pregnant belly is gone.
Does
So
everyone know that's listening to us right now? Inflammation in your body. You may not know this. I might be sharing something with all of you that you're not even familiar with. Inflammation in your body is what causes the pain. It's the inflammation, the inflamed areas. The anytime you break something or injure yourself, it's inflamed inside. It's not until that inflammation goes down and goes away that the pain will go away. And that's a fact. That is a fact. And we walk around with inflamed bodies and we don't even know it. Inflammation levels are high in the US. High.
And again, we can't see it. So, like you said, we don't know it. And there is good inflammation when the body is healing. It needs inflammation to help the healing process. But chronic inflammation, which is where many of us are stuck, is not helpful in any way. And it's actually triggering disease. I want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier when you were talking about the sugar and things, and to let people know that inside our body, we already have cancer cells and we have cancer killer cells. And when they're in balance, cancer isn't developing. And quite frankly, I want the cancer killer cells to win the battle inside my body. But
we all want them to go to battle for us.
exactly. But here's a couple of things. And this is where I work with people on their whole being in all aspects of their lifestyle. If you get less than 4 hours of sleep in just one night, you will kill off 70% of the killer cancer cells in your body. Now, thankfully, they reproduce as well, but you do that on an ongoing basis. Who's winning the battle, right? Not getting enough sleep is also killing good bacteria in our gut. And again, then the bad bacteria is winning the battle. And we don't want that. That causes gut dysbiosis, imbalance. It can create autoimmune disease, leaky gut, all sorts of things down the pipeline. So sleep is hugely important to our health. And there's many more stats around that I don't have time to give you today. But when I work with my clients, I educate them on this because nobody has ever taught us how to optimize our sleep and why it's so important. And I feel like when we know why it's important and we understand that and we know how to optimize it, we will do a better job of doing that. That then helps the environment we create inside our body.
Mhm.
Stress also breaks down the health of our gut and that balance between good and bad bacteria. And in today's day and age, we're living in chronic stress. Our modern world just has us out of balance way over here. And we look around and see everyone else stressed out and we normalize it and think it's okay without understanding how this chronic stress is impacting every organ within inside our body.
Mhm.
So coming back to sugar, the cancer cells have 15 times the number of sugar receptors of a healthy cell.
Mhm.
So when you're eating sugar, which cells are you feeding?
Cancer cells.
Exactly. And it's not that you can't ever have any sugar. We have sweet taste buds in our mouth and we have to keep them happy too, right? So, sugar in whole fruit, where we get the sugar and the fiber, is a much better way to be getting that sweetness and keeping those taste buds happy than even straight sugar from a cup of orange juice where there's no fiber and we're also spiking insulin.
Mhm.
There are sweet vegetables, there are sweet spices. And I believe in an 80-20 rule, unless you are trying to beat cancer. In that case, when it comes to sugar, you have to be 100% no sugar.
Zero.
For the rest of us, eight, like your friend's husband, right?
Mhm.
But for the rest of us, an 80-20 rule is going to get you so much further ahead of where you're at today and without falling off, because you can have those 20% of having something that you really love without overdoing it. And that's really important, because again, if I ask someone to be 100% other than the cancer recovering person,
Mhm.
it's likely they're going to fall off and go back to zero.
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone at 0% effort on their health. I want
Yeah.
them at 80%.
Yeah. And here's
So
the thing, you just have to take one step at a time,
exactly.
Don't beat yourself up over it. If you know that your cup is empty and you know that you're waking up with chronic headaches or you're having chronic migraines or you're not sleeping very well or you have chronic heartburn, all of these things that you already know in your body are not right. Or you've said, like Melissa mentioned in the beginning, I just live with this pain. My parents had it. It's just always going to have heart disease because my parents had it. Whatever it is, the brainwashing started at day one when we came out of the womb. Unfortunately, there is a way to reverse your aging. We're always looking for, ways now of Botox and all these surgeries and all these things that are out there, creams for your face. If you would just think about what you're putting in your body as opposed to putting on your body, then it literally slows down the aging process and makes you feel better just by the regular habits of what we eat every day by changing that relationship with food. And that's really what it is. And that's why you need a guide on this. That's why diets don't work. They don't work. They're fads. They don't work because you try to change something drastically in your life that you've never done before without the assistance, or maybe with the assistance. Then, when that assistance is gone, you go right back to the way that you used to do it before. But if you change the mental thought around your relationship with food and your relationship with your body to put it back in balance in just little tiny easy steps going forward, it can make massive results in how much longer you live if you have cancer or
Absolutely.
not. Yeah, these
Absolutely.
are huge impacts. And you're worth
Absolutely.
it. We're all worth that.
We are absolutely all worth
Yeah.
it. And so the other thing too is in today's world, we can't avoid the toxins. We can make better choices. Absolutely. We can change the cleaning products we use in our home. We can change the products we put on our body to natural products. And, we can choose organic. And I often hear, I can't afford organic. I can't afford to eat whole plant-based diet, whole food plant-based diet, right? But here's the thing is processed food has little to no nutrient value. And we eat for energy. And the way we get energy is sleep and eating, right? We eat for energy. So if our digestive system is working well and we're breaking down the food properly and assimilating it into our bloodstream, so we're getting the benefit of those vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, then we have energy. But if we're eating food that doesn't really have anything in it to start with, we're not getting very much energy at all. So guess what? We're hungrier sooner. And so we eat again, and we're hungrier sooner. And so we eat again. However, when you eat a nutrient dense meal, you don't need to eat as often. And the benefit of that too is that a healthy digestive system is using at least 30% of your energy to break down your food. So if you're eating 5 and 6 times a day between a meal and a snack and a meal and a snack to keep you going, every time you eat, your digestive system is using 30% of your energy. And so that's taking from your cognitive function or your energy to go to the gym and do a workout or whatever else you want to do. So eating less often but more nutrient dense meals is actually going to give you more energy and save you money in the long run. People just don't look at it that way, and they think of the cost of this one quick thing now versus making a meal over here, but they're not adding up the cost of those 6 or 7 things that they're eating in the day.
That's why fast food has dollar menus. It's exactly why. It's exactly why they have dollar menus, because it's quick and easy and it doesn't cost you very much. So you think you're saving all this money. Well, I can guarantee you your medicine cabinet probably looks different than mine, because I don't buy pills. I don't spend money on prescriptions. I don't take anything. I spend my money on organic food. We spend our money on our health versus spending money on going to the doctors. In fact, I don't even remember the last time we did go to the doctors. And in the pandemic, like Melissa and I have talked about on more of these interviews that we have done throughout, my time since I met Melissa, we have talked a lot about if the news was only focused on how we can build up our immunities and how we can protect our bodies versus washing your hands and wearing a mask, the numbers for COVID would have been drastically, we're talking tens of thousands less than what they were. But we were so focused on building a vaccine and so focused on just wearing a mask and then staying at home and then staying away from other people instead of building your immunity. I don't ever get sick ever, because I take care of my body. I don't ever get sick. And I even know by taking Melissa's quiz that I have a toxicity overload in my body somewhere, and I eat healthy. If you ask anyone who knows me, I exercise, I eat healthy compared to so many people I know. They'll always say, oh no, Colleen won't eat that. She doesn't eat sugar. She eats healthy. Well, I don't like sugar. And maybe it's because I haven't had it for so long that when I eat it, it's like someone who's never had salt, and then they taste salt. It's like, oh, that's just awful. But to someone else, that's just what a French fry tastes like. To me, it would just be so overly salted, I wouldn't be able to eat it. So I don't eat fast food French fries because of that reason, because I don't like the taste of them, because my palate's not used to it, right? But I still have, I need, and Melissa has been my best guide on this and keeping in touch with me, because that's my next step, which is ordering the panels, figuring out for my husband and I, not just myself, because I want my husband to be around with me for years and years and years. And if you want your spouse to be with you, or your mother or your sister or anybody in your family, be the best example by feeding them healthy, living a healthy life, because that's how you're going to be able to keep them longer. It's not going to the doctor. It's not. And if you care about them, you'll take these steps to make these changes in your life, and then do it together and be there to support them and be committed to your health. Be committed to you. I don't know why, scalloped potatoes in a box is appetizing to anybody. I don't understand it. I mean, I would rather have a sweet potato because it tastes so much better to me. But again, I think it's because I haven't eaten that way in so long that my palate doesn't even crave something like that.
And like the rest of our body responding quickly, so do our taste buds.
Yeah.
So I actually have a 28-day Kick the Sugar Habit program to help people
Yeah.
lower their sugar load, right? And it's
Yeah.
not something you can do cold turkey because, again, it sets in cravings because the brain's going, what's going on? You're doing something different.
Yeah.
So I take people in stages, going from high sugar impact foods where you start to medium sugar impact foods to low sugar impact foods over the 28 days, again, with recipes, meal plans, shopping lists, so that your body has time to adjust at each stage before going to the next stage, and your taste buds adjust. And at
Mm-hmm.
the very end, we do actually, and this is optional because some people know they just can't do it, but we will test, if when you're in low impact foods, we'll test something from medium and something from high. And by that time, people are like, oh my God, I can't believe I used to eat that, because
Mm-hmm.
it's so over the top sweet. And our taste buds get desensitized by the quantity of sugar load that we get through the processed diet.
Yeah.
And if we go back to our hunter-gatherer days, back where we only got to eat what was available by season,
Mm-hmm.
like, they literally were getting that sweetness through the summer with the berries and the fruits, right? And then, through sweet potatoes and other, carrots and things in more of the winter months, but they
Mm-hmm.
weren't getting it all day, every day, in every mouthful.
Yeah.
And
No.
that's not how our bodies are designed to cope.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, so looking at our stress, looking at our sleep, looking at our food, looking at our exercise, looking
Mm-hmm.
at our mindset and the belief that we can heal. And that's something else that I hold for my clients when they come to me, is that belief that they may not yet have for themselves because they're not familiar with holistic health. But I hold that belief for them and guide them through the process. And as they start to feel better, they start to take on that belief for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only when we believe we can heal that we can heal. And it's also only in the relaxed state, the rest and digest stage. So when you're guided and you're being told every step of the way, this is what you do next, and this is what you do next, you can relax into the healing process.
Yeah.
When you're trying to figure it all out for yourself, on top of trying to work and build a business and raise a family, there's not enough hours in the day. So
Mm-hmm.
your body still doesn't get into that rest state and relaxed state to heal.
So true. Yeah. Well, Melissa, let's go ahead and tell the listeners how they can reach out to you. We have in our Facebook, we have all the description of your links in there of how people can reach you. We also have the information for the podcast right there at their fingertips and some of your links. But how can they go ahead and let our listeners know what's the best way to reach out to you, get a hold of this quiz? And if I don't have it already, I'll put the link in there for the quiz to make sure they can click on a link and at least get to the page that they can download the quiz. But how can they get in touch with you?
So my website is simply www.yourguidedhealthjourney.com. If somebody has watched this and decided I'm ready to move forward and prioritize my health and I would like to know next steps, I do offer a complimentary 30-minute session just for you to get to know me to get to know what your struggle is, and to determine, am I the right practitioner to guide you on this journey? And you can simply click the work with me button at the top of the screen on my website and book a session with me to start your healing journey. And yes, we'll drop the link in for the toxic load quiz.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing a lot of really, really high scores. Now, the good news is somebody who does that and has a high score, there's only one way to go, which is to bring that score down, which is what we want in this process. And the sooner we do that, the better.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you're somebody, like Colleen, that eats healthy and is, aware of all of this and still has, you still have a score that suggests a detox,
Yeah.
that's totally normal. I did too the first time I ever did it. My score was 24. But after doing the 3-week detox, I got my score down to a 7. And it's not just do the detox once and then you're good for life. No, because the toxins keep coming in. So
Mm-hmm.
every quarter, I do the detox again just for 7 days, because I'm on a cycle of they come in, I get them out, they come in, I get them out. So then I don't have to stress about what's happening inside my body, because I
Mm-hmm.
know I'm just going to keep flushing it out. And
Absolutely.
then the lab tests, I talk with people on a one-to-one basis, based on what their needs are. But there's 6 different lab tests that we can run, that lab tests that will test inflammation levels, lab tests that will test food insensitivities, which if we keep eating foods our body doesn't like, triggers inflammation, lab tests that will assess gut balance? And do you have bacterial overgrowth, yeast, candida, mold, fungus? It'll test vitamin deficiencies. It will test mitochondrial and energy function, as well as neurotransmitter function. So, and also it will test detox pathways. There's another test that will look at your mineral levels, deficiencies, and are they in balance, as well as your metal toxicities. And then one of my favorites is testing all your sex hormones, 4 cortisol levels through the day to see what's happening with cortisol, where are you in that chronic stress state, and how do we calm your body in order to improve your sleep, plus thyroid markers, plus vitamin D, plus insulin, all in one lab.
Great.
So, and then there's another one that will do parasites and etc. So lots of options to help people get real answers as to what is going on inside their body when they're probably being told by other doctors that we don't know what's wrong with you, or here, take this pill for the rest of your life.
Yes. So today is the day that you make the choice to take your life back, start taking your health journey for your body to a healthier living, and find out, are you unintentionally killing yourself and you don't realize it? And I'm being super serious about that. We don't know that we have something until it is so bad in our body that it is just glaring and glaring and glaring. And right now, something could be building in your body that's going to be getting to there next year, and you don't even know it. So my high suggestion is, it's free to have a conversation with Melissa. It is free to take the quiz to find out if you are at a high number like I was, and I live a healthy life. So I'm at a high number and I need to do something about it, because I'm telling you, I do not want to spend my money with a medical practitioner in the doctors or the hospital or something like that. I would rather be spending my money on good food, spending my money on taking care of myself with herbal supplements so that my body can naturally get itself back in balance. So Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. That's all the time we have today, but we have all of the links for all of you to take her quiz. And when you're on her website, book a call with her for 30 minutes, talk to her about the pain you're having and what's going on with your life or other things that are going on, so she can assist you. I can't stress that enough. This is your opportunity to take your life back and create a healthy journey for yourself. I'm really excited to let everyone know that we're going to come back on live at 1 o'clock, I believe it is, this afternoon. And we're going to be talking with Mark Victor Hansen as well as Crystal Hansen. And some of you might recognize that name. Wait, I know Mark Victor Hansen. That's right. He was the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. He was also the author of the 1 Minute Millionaire, which I've bought that book for a couple of my children. And I've used a lot of the mantras that he has in that book with clients and for EFT tapping. So I hope you will all join me back here at 1 o'clock for that one as well. And, check the episodes for that special episode. And the show title on that one, and episode title is Money Never Starts an Idea. It's the idea that starts the money. I love that. So it's not about the money, it's about the idea. And then how do we bring that idea forward so that we can live the abundant and successful life? And by the way, unless you're healthy, it doesn't matter if you have an idea, because you're not going to be able to live that life anyways. I'm just going to throw that out there. So Melissa, again, thank you for joining us today. And I just want to leave you all with this one message. Remember, you are the only you that has ever been. You are the only you that will ever be. Please take care of your bodies. It is up to you on how you pioneer your future. So be you and be strong. Thank you for joining us today. We can't wait to see you in our next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks so much for having me.